Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and I know this topic has been beaten to death before. But don't punch Nazis! I know that joke was bad, but I will not apologise for it. I refuse to apologise for it. And if you didn't get the joke, you're better off that way. But anyway, back to punching Nazis. Or should I say, telling you why you shouldn't punch Nazis. Because, believe it or not, punching Nazis is a terrible idea. I don't know if anyone remembers Charlottesville, but that is a prime example of why you shouldn't punch Nazis. Or anyone you disagree with for that matter. Because what happened there was there were people making themselves look like idiots. If Antifa hadn't shown up to Charlottesville, the internet would have completely ridiculed these motherfuckers. I mean, just take a look at the photos. What kind of civilized people walk around with tiki torches shouting, "Jews will not replace us"? There is a saying which I think is very relevant to this. Give a man enough rope and he will hang himself. The problem is that when you try to force someone into this metaphorical noose, then there's a bit of a struggle, and at the end of it, you're the one in the noose, just hanging there. Now, some people may be thinking, well, these people aren't actually Nazis. To be a Nazi, you've got to be in the Nazi Party of Germany. And to that I say, there is a small point there, which I'll touch on in a bit. But if you are waving a giant red flag, and in that flag there's a white circle, and in that white circle there's a swastika, and you're waving that flag around unironically, that makes you a fucking Nazi. Now, you may not call them Nazis, you may call them neo-Nazis, but I call them Nazis, and even I think that these Nazis shouldn't be punched. Waving a stupid flag around isn't harming anyone. At worst, some person will think that they're doing the right thing. But most likely, people will just go, what the fuck is that idiot doing? But say, for example, I train a dog, and I train them to react to when I say "gas the Jews," so that every time I say "gas the Jews," they react to it. Some people may think that I'm a Nazi for that. Other people may think that's clearly a joke. No Nazi is actually going to train their dog to react to "gas the Jews," unless they're incredibly stupid. So now you have people that think that I should be punched in the face, because even though I made a joke about it, they thought that I am actually a Nazi, so they think that I should be punched. And on the other hand, you have reasonable people that don't think that I should be punched for making a joke about Nazis. Now, the people that are for punching Nazis will say, well, these people that don't want Nazis to get punched, they're also Nazis, so therefore we should punch these people that don't want Nazis to get punched. Now, it might sound ridiculous, but I have heard people argue this, that we should punch people who think we shouldn't be punching Nazis. The argument seems to be something like, well, if you're not a Nazi, then you should have no problem with me punching Nazis. But if you don't want me to punch Nazis, that must mean that you're a Nazi. Now, one of the problems that occurs when you start labeling everyone as a Nazi is that some people, for some strange reason, think that it's a good idea to become a Nazi. Now, I do need to stress this point. If you become a Nazi because people are labeling others as Nazis, you are a fuckwad. Now, another reason that some people give for justifying punching Nazis is that if we don't go punching the Nazis, they'll start being violent towards everyone. Have you actually thought that through? Who's being the violent person here? The Nazi that is getting punched? Or the person punching the Nazi? However, there is one thing I'll grant here. If a Nazi punches you, you can punch them back. Fuck, if anyone punches you, you can punch them back. And maybe that should be another reason why you shouldn't punch a Nazi, because if you punch a Nazi, they might punch you back. But going back to the argument of, oh, we should punch Nazis to stop them from being violent, So what if they're violent? We have things to deal with violent people. I don't think you've thought this through. We've got this thing called the law. If someone's being violent, they can get prosecuted for being violent. But do you want to know who else can get prosecuted for being violent? I'll give you a few seconds to work this out. It's people that punch fucking Nazis. So all in all, punching Nazis seems like a pretty fucking stupid idea, doesn't it? But I do understand that this is the internet, so there will be people that go, oh yeah, let's punch Nazis. That'll teach them, even though they won't actually do it because, they're too chicken shit to do it. And I don't necessarily think that not going out and punching Nazis because you're too scared to, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just when you encourage people that will actually go out there and punch Nazis to go and punch Nazis, that's when I take issue with it. And to top it off with one final reason why you shouldn't punch Nazis, if you punch a Nazi, you might hurt your fist. So now you have a sore hand, you've got a sore face because the Nazi punched you back, and you're facing charges because the Nazi decided to press charges, and you haven't actually helped your cause at all. Good job! So if there's anyone out there after watching this that thinks that it would be a good idea to keep punching Nazis, knock yourself out. And I mean that in the most literal possible way, actually physically knock yourself out. So leave a like and subscribe if you like that video. Leave a comment telling me what you think. If you'd like to support me, you can donate to me on Patreon, and if you want to chat with me, you can join my Discord, link will be in the description. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.